Okay, seems like Marcos is with us. Are you here, Marcos?
Yes. Hello. Good
Perfect.
evening. Good night, Tony.
Okay, amazing, amazing. All right, so I think it's a great time to start. So, hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from this corner of the world. This is Oni On-Air. Thanks so much for joining us live from wherever you are and whatever might have brought you here. Welcome. In this episode, we have Marcos, the director of Onda Solidaria and the visionary behind the social eco center Vila dos Sonos since age 10. Amazing. A global advocate for sustainability and education, he represented Brazilian youth internationally since the age of 13. Marcos champions environmental education as an ambassador from Ambiente Joven and organizes youth forums. Currently pursuing a law degree at UNB, he also contributes to sustainability efforts at the Federal Supreme Court Social Relations Secretariat. Okay, amazing, amazing. Marcos, we're so happy to have you with us for tonight's episode. Please tell us more about yourself, address your audience, and I'm sure a lot of your friends are here.
Thank you very much. Really nice to be here with you, Oni, and Global Fund for Children that are great partners of us, of Onda Solidaria's work and job here in Brazil. So I am part of this mission, Onda Solidaria's mission, since I'm 10 years old. Now I'm 21 years old, and I had the pleasure to grow as a person, as a young leader during that time, and learn a lot with this organization Onda Solidaria, and the partners that you, Global Fund for Children, are. At the same time, contribute as well with Onda's efforts here in Brazil to promote opportunities for young people and children. So that's really I was here. I was there, not there where you are only, but at London at the Global Fund for Children office last month, and it was really interesting to look to the past and see that that little Marcus from 10 years old, and now the Marcus of 20 years old, and how many changes have happened in my personal life, but most importantly in my community and in other communities as well, with our work regarding the promotion of opportunities for young people and children here in Brazil, and also regarding sustainability and facing the climate challenges that we have.
Amazing. Thank you so much for taking us through that small example of a journey that you've been having since you were 10 years old. I don't know what I was doing at 10, but it's definitely not what you were doing. And we want to know more about you, Marcos. We want to know more about how you have come to where you are right now. We celebrate you, and I'm sure our audience members would love to also get to know you a little bit better. So, for our first question for you, how did your background with Onda Solidaria get you involved in climate activism?
Awesome. So I grew up in a really small community here in Brazil, a rural community here. And as we have an international audience, I don't know how many of you know Brazil really well, but we are a huge country in terms of area, and also sometimes in terms of resources. But we have a huge social inequality, what means that yes, we have many in the same place, like in Rio de Janeiro. We have in one side very like comfortable and beautiful building, and at the door in the other side of the streets we have many favelas, many poor people, poor houses, and young people and children with no access to proper education. And I grew up in a rural community where we were near to big centers, where usually we have many opportunities in terms of education and job. But as we were rural and really small, we were not connected with these opportunities. What shouldn't mean that we couldn't dream or we couldn't have proper access to opportunities, especially in terms of education. So Onda Solidaria appeared when I was 10 in my community, listening to young people, listening to children over there. And fortunately, I was one of these children, and I could share a little bit of my dreams, a little bit of the things that I would like to do, I'd like to learn, and on the listen to that, as listen to other young people and children voices, and that was really important so that they could start in promoting, offering some opportunities we didn't have there with us. And that was the start of the journey for me. And why am I saying that? The first thing I said, and probably, yeah, the only thing I said, the most important thing I said I would like to do at that age was learning English. What, like looking for the first time has nothing to do with climate, for example, but I really believe that everything begins with opportunities. So I started learning English with Onda, but then I started being involved in one of the most important project of Onda, Vila dos Sonhos, which in English is Village of Dreams. Uh, that is a huge area in my community that Onda Solidaria, a huge land that Onda Solidaria received in our community to develop an eco-green school where there was nothing before. It was just a cattle field. So uniting opportunity, the opportunity of learning English with at the same time the being in a environment in a philosophy, knowing more a mission that Onda also had, the one of making reforestation and developing an eco model. I could start realizing more the importance of the climate cause, the yeah the seriousness of the climate change scenario we face, and then started being me myself also a leader of that, of Vila dos Sonhos, of Onda Solidaria projects in general, and realizing that young people has have such an important role to play in this issue. So yes, I think I could see by the example how important we are and how we can contribute in climate activism, and also in this journey share a little bit of the things that we were doing and the things that we can do actually in the future as well.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I'm sure a lot of people who are just like you know, a young person who has just been waiting for an opportunity to fulfill their potential. And it's really amazing the work that you have done with Ona Solidarita. I do have a question because we were talking about climate related activities that you have done in your work. Could you share some of the most pressing climate issues or challenges that communities in Brazil face and how your activism addresses these issues directly?
Perfect. So yeah, sharing a little bit about Brazil in general, actually. Deforestation is a huge challenge we face here, and the world uh, talks a lot about Amazon, and that's right. And we have Amazon, like the biggest part of Amazon in Brazil, but of course, also some important parts of Amazon in other countries as well here in Latin America. But we have here in Brazil other very important biomes like Cerrado, like Atlantic Forest, where Rio de Janeiro and Minas Gerais are as well. That, of course, deserve to be preserved as well and restored as well. So deforestation, I would say, it's a huge challenge we have. But more connected to, it's also connected with the communities because it affects, for example, the floodings and the temperature change and the droughts as well. And so everything is connected. If we deforestate the Amazon, that is in the north part of Brazil, we start having less rains here in the southwest, where Rio de Janeiro and Minas Gerais and São Paulo are, for example. That's why we have always to look for the whole situation and nature and globe to talk about climate issues and challenges. Um, but I would say that floodings is a huge issue that even my family have had a bad experience related with that recently, some years ago, and other people that I know, we always every year we have many news regarding that, unfortunately, and that's really bad because people lose their things, their stuff, and then they have yes this challenge to recover everything, and it's also a psychological challenge regarding that because imagine losing all your things and then having to rebuy everything, especially when you don't have many resources. So I would say this is also another big challenge we face here in our communities. And it's not, oh, yeah, another thing that is related to these two previous points is something we are calling recently environmental racism, which means that in Brazil, we had for hundreds of years slavery. Um, with black people. Black people were slavers, and it means that now it contributes a lot for our social inequality and racial inequality as well. And it also affects the way that climate change um, impacts people. So, for example, in favelas um, that are communities where we don't have um, many facilities for people, like in terms of education system, health system, they are affected in a really worse way than in this city centers, for example. But of course, everybody is affected, but in different ways. And um, in, yeah, in different levels as well. So I would say that as well, environmental racism that's connected with all the facilities that don't arrive in the place they should arrive, that are not there for poor people, for women or for black people. Um, so it makes the challenges even bigger, you know. And recently, this week actually, 2 days ago or one day ago, I read uh, I read on the news that 1 million young people and children from Brazilian schools they don't have access to water in their schools. So it's very hot right here in Brazil right now, and you cannot stay without water, you know. So even for us Brazilians, that we can see, we can observe some of the challenges we have. This is a huge number that came from a research recently that that shows also broader than just the climate issue, but very connected with climate issue, the climate challenges, how we have to advance in promoting opportunities, access to education, access to a proper school, access to water, so that people can also survive and um, deal a little bit, um, deal well with the climate change. So yes, you cannot stay without order, especially in a school. So 1 million children, 1 million young people. So we have many challenges related to that. Yeah, very different levels. But I would say that always connected with social issues. Our inequality, social inequality, and access to opportunities in general. This is all connected.
Absolutely. And I think now more than ever, it's so important to have conversations regarding the impacts of climate change and really the climate crisis on everyone. It's not just a singular community, a singular country that experiences it. It's affecting us on the global scale. And that's something really alarming. That's something that so many of us need to work together to, one, acknowledge, and secondary, not really secondarily, but acknowledge and then take action about. It affects everyone, more so young people, more so young people living in places closer to the equator. And I'm sure that in your work you've also encountered stories like certain communities being displaced. So there's internal displacement. They have to flee from their homes just because it's no longer inhabitable. It's concerning and it's affecting multiple sectors. And so a multi-sectoral approach does have to be considered and does have to be enacted. So I'm wondering, Marcos, in the really, really hard but noble work that you guys have been doing, what role do young people play? We're the most affected. This is our future. So how do we drive meaningful change in order to build resilience to the climate impact, to adapt to it maybe? Is there even a way for us to reverse it? So within our communities, within the little pockets of society that young people belong in, we'd love your thoughts on that.
Perfect. So yeah, I think we have always we know that it's important to remember that yeah, our leaders now, like the adults, our presidents and our governors, they are the ones that have this responsibility mainly of yes, bringing the solutions and the efforts that we already know what is needed to be done. But sometimes we always let these actions for tomorrow and not for today. So it's important to emphasize the role that our uh, leaders nowadays have to promote these solutions. But what is the role that young people play on that? In many different ways. I would say that young people are different because sometimes they are creative in a different way. Sometimes they have more hope. Also, in the future, there is another research talking about Brazil that says that young people from Brazil are one of the youths of the world that has more hope in the future. But at the same time, young people from Brazil are the ones that has less hope uh, regarding to political changes, like political improves. So that's really interesting. We believe the world will be a better place. We believe in future, but at the same time, we don't believe in the leaders we have now. So I would say that the role young people play on that is the way of being leaders, and since being a leader in your community, so participating in NGOs, social projects, leading the change in your school, or yes, with arts movement or sustainability movement, climate activism, and some things related to that. So being a leader in your community, um, paying attention in the challenges we face in our community, and also proposing solutions, thinking about solutions, because many times our official leaders are not listening to the communities, are not paying attention in their dreams, and are not promoting the facilities, the opportunities for young people and people in general, and people especially from poor communities. Um, so yes, that's really important to young people to realize their potential of leading the processes in their communities, rural and urban areas, because they have this power. Yes. So and another way is to deal and to connect with these official systems, so by climate activism and activism for other causes as well, such as education, um, or gender, and many others. We need to be connected with the public sector, the private sector, talking to them, not just for our peers, talking to them, to the others, learning even with them, um, about what did they know about this bureaucracy as well, about systems like the United Nations system, or the Brazilian government, or Rio de Janeiro government, or your town government, so that we can have this confidence to communicate um, our our voice, So the challenges we're facing, the solutions we imagine for these challenges, and most importantly, our actions, because we get stronger when we talk, when we say about the challenges, but we get really stronger when we do things, we do stuff to solve these challenges as well. So sharing examples as the Vila dos Sonhos, Village of Dreams, Onda Solidária, the programs in terms of sustainability, sports, education that we young people promote, participate, lead uh, with other audiences, other sectors is inspiring, and at the same time that shows what we are doing, shows what should be um, doing by other actors as well. So I think that's a really important way young people can contribute, and and at the same time uniting ourselves. So I think later we are going to share a little bit about some youth forums and conferences we have been doing here in Brazil with you, and putting it all together, discussing and then arriving into some key points that are on our minds, but that are not on the paper. It's really important to put it on the paper and then make advocacy work, advocacy job, and talk to organizations to yes to look how we can solve these challenges. Just
Absolutely. And I just want to point out something that I really appreciated from your answer is your emphasis on a multi-sectoral approach. We have to talk to our peers and the people who aren't our peers. We have to talk to our families, our classmates, perhaps our friends, our loved ones. Then we also have to talk to our governments. We have to talk to our schools. We have to talk to the people around us because we collectively are being affected by the climate crisis. And there is actually a necessity for collective action for everyone, especially, of course, the leaders in charge, to be accountable for for how we are adversely being affected by the climate crisis. And I really love that you discussed lobbying, recommendations on perhaps policy for young people to join local initiatives. That's really important. And more than that, you also emphasize, Marcos, I really want to appreciate it, the importance of communicating even the topic of climate crisis. At least in the Philippines, it's hard to it's hard to put emphasis on a subject that requires you to have foundations on the science behind the climate crisis. Because in the Philippines, we have very, very large problems regarding poverty, food insecurity, job insecurity. And so you can't really have very long, in-depth conversations on the public level, including people from all walks of life, about the wet bulb phenomena or greenhouse gases. Because what do they know of that when to them there are much bigger problems in the world, much bigger problems as in putting food on the table of their families, supporting themselves. This is how it looks like in the Philippines. And yet the importance of letting our people know that we are all suffering under the same problem, and therefore we all need to be involved in responding to it, in talking to other people about it, sounding the alarm, sounding the bell, as Greta Thunberg has once said. I do wonder, Marcus, if you can highlight some of the most impactful initiatives or projects that you yourself or your organization has been involved with to enhance climate resilience in Brazil.
Awesome. So when we talk about the Philippines, yes, we have some points that are we have some points in common. Because of course, in a place where we don't have, for example, proper access to education or to job or to water, sometimes people can think that sustainability is the yes the priority that is in last, you know. So we have many other priorities before, but when I think a really important thing to do is to make people realize that sustainability has everything to do with all these other issues as well. It's very connected to the social aspect and the economic aspect, and of course the environmental aspect. So sharing a little bit about the initiatives that we have been leading here in Brazil. Of course, Onda Solidaria is yeah the first one that I could be connected, and I am really happy for that. Um, so with Vila dos Sonhos, we have this opportunity to know people with different talents, but the same purposes, you know, regarding a more sustainable planet and more sustainable communities. So it's a really interesting initiative, as I have said, in terms of promoting opportunities, especially for young people and children. But at the same time, bringing these people from different contexts and different places, even of the world, uh, to to have these people working on sustainability, working on building these solutions, these social and sustainable solutions. So that's now 10 years later, we have um, much more trees in that space. We have buildings to promote these opportunities in terms of education, sports, and sustainability. And that Vila dos Sonhos and Ona Solidaria plays a very important role regarding inspiring young people, children, people in general, that we can dream and we can realize these dreams of change in the local level, but also in the global level. Why not? Because we have a really good network of good people around Brazil and around the world that share the same values, the same purposes. But I really believe that we need to get inspired for others to keep ourselves in believing in our own mission because we have many challenges. So that's why, for example, Ricardo, that's the founder of Onda Solidaria, and many other volunteers and peers from Onda Solidaria are really important to inspire myself and to teach myself many interesting things that I need in this leadership journey because the challenges are very big. But by seeing the difference other people makes, we get more inspired in our power to do change as well and to contribute to our community. So Vila dos Sonhos and Onda Solidaria in general is one of the initiatives. And after that, 2 years ago, I was invited to become an ambassador of Ambiente Jovem. That is the largest environmental education program here in Brazil. It's based on Rio de Janeiro state. And that's really interesting because we have actually thousands of young people that were and are trained by this program. This is a program from the government, from the environmental department of Rio de Janeiro state. And it is focused in these communities where the opportunities do not arrive in the way they should arrive. So especially in favela or in rural communities in smaller towns where opportunities are not that big. So it's a program where we have in the first months the opportunity to learn on theory about sustainability, about climate change, and then in the end of the program, young people have the mission of leading the change, so creating um, a specific, a practical solution related to their community. So we have many different examples since cleaning rivers, yes, making a system we call here in Portuguese eco barreiras to clean a little bit better our rivers here in Brazil, and also recycling and making healthier food and donations, and also collecting the oil we use on while cooking, so that it doesn't go to doesn't go to the rivers and pollute the rivers. So we have many different kinds of solutions that are created by these young people from very different communities from Rio de Janeiro. And another initiative that is related to the question you made to me about the role young people play on climate resilience is listening young people in spaces, creating spaces to listen to young people. So the youth forums we have organized here, where we could put together people from different parts of Rio with very different backgrounds, different areas, but also different people from Brazil, um, talking, learning, listening to specialists, to scientists, and but most importantly, sharing their views, their perspectives, and their possible solutions um, with others, and putting it on paper so that then it can arrive to decision makers here in Brazil and in the world. We have also made organized a youth forum in Amazon, what was really important, really special, um, and that was uh, very, yes, touchful, because um, we even here in Brazil sometimes we think that we are very different. Our regions are very different, and in Amazon, for example, people from there, young people from there, were very thankful for what for us was something very simple, like being with them in an event, listening to young people. But many of them, some indigenous people as well, and other leaders, were really impressed by something simple, that the methodology of listening, that we could share with them and listen to them and then put it on paper, and then sharing some opportunities and some things that we have done here in Rio de Janeiro, uh, just to share a little bit of how important listening is, so then we can go to another level, a level of influencing the action, our action, and also, yeah, action of our leaders, our political leaders, and everything else. So I would say that these three are some very important initiatives um, regarding climate resilience that we are building here, doing here with young people.
That's really, really awesome. And it really just goes to show that innovation is everywhere. And we just have to be amenable. We have to be able to listen to all sorts of voices, especially young people who have new ideas, a different perspective than what has already been, previously discussed by much older generations, especially from the government. There are things that young people can bring to the table in order to respond to the climate crisis. And it's almost, I think the urgency also comes from how optionless we are, in the sense that there is no other way but through this. We can't ignore it. There is no way for us to circumvent or to set it aside for maybe a different societal issue. The climate crisis is happening now, and it's affecting all of us right now, right here, right now. I remember maybe a few summers ago in the Philippines, we haven't hit 39 degrees Celsius yet. But as of recent, every summer that we've ever had has just been getting warmer and warmer. And you know, you think about the people who cannot afford proper housing, people who cannot take shelter. And I just wish there were more ways for us to innovate, or at least more ways for the people in charge in my country and in other countries to consider the circumstances that the underserved communities face in this big, scary, even threat of climate change, and how we have to keep changing as our planet does, if not to adapt, but to actively find ways to circumvent, to navigate the dangers of being in a changing planet. So thank you so much, Marcus, for sharing the initiatives that your organization and your organization's partners have been working on the past few years in Brazil. And speaking about challenges and navigating them, I do want to ask, how do you navigate, you know, climate related, but also political related resistance towards movements for climate change? Maybe there's a lack of resource while advocating for climate resilience measures. Maybe there is even a deprioritization in political agendas, perhaps. Or when we try to lobby for better policies, we try to lobby for better systems. Maybe, and at least this happens in the Philippines, we're not taken as seriously as we should be. So have you ever experienced that in the work that you have done, especially in the context of Brazil?
Awesome. Yes. So yeah, we have to think about the strategies regarding this, how to deal with this political resistance, this lack of resources. And I would say, um, first of it all, that um, we know here, yeah, you and me and people that are listening, we know nature is important, and it should be preserved. And yes, it should be preserved by itself value. And but sometimes we need, and as it is true as well, we need to have a strategy to show people that have a different view that we that nature is important not just for itself. It's important because it's connected to the social aspect of our lives, um, and also connected with some economic aspects, as I have told you in the beginning of the live, that we don't have the forest preserved in Amazon, we don't have proper rain here in the southwest of Brazil, and we don't have then food to grow. Um, the plants want to grow properly, and we have problems with food, and we will have then problems with social inequality that will grow. And yes, that's something important to deal with this political resistance, and even the resistance from societies, from people that have a different mind regarding sustainability. So it's important always to show how how connected everything is, and how sustainability, environment, climate has a lot to do with many different areas of our life. So doing that with young people is especially important because we can access different spaces, and we can be heard more as well. And yes, we can have this dialogue uh, with other players, other actors, other leaders as well, and at the same time share our view, share what we think is right, and not just that, re, reinforce, emphasize what is not. Um, what's not just a matter of opinion, what is a fact. So, for example, all the reports and all the job scientists make to regarding climate challenges. So I think, yeah, strategy is something really important in one way to protect ourselves as climate activists, and also in another way, depending in the space you are, being heard more, um, and being heard more by being united more, by having each time more, for example, talking about young people, to have more young people together and also have more partners that are adults, that are leaders, that are in the government, that are in why not? Also, companies that believe on your leaderships, in your activism, and share the same values and share the same worries about climate as you, so that we can be united and more stronger and thinking about the points we have, the key points we have in common regarding all the challenges we face in the world. So, um, so yes, I think that's one of the ways we navigate through these challenges. And another thing I will always say that is very important to be a young leader or a climate activist is opportunities, So being um, even being a very poor guy or girl, or have that doesn't without opportunities regarding education in the first moment, in the first look, we have to um, we have to be connected. We have to 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 take these opportunities very strongly, so that we can develop ourselves personally, professionally, in terms of education in a very good way, even with few opportunities when they are few, so that we can then be stronger leaders for our communities. So that again, saying how opportunities like Onda Solidária or Ambiente Jovem and all the amazing projects that Global Fund for Children support around the world, how it is important to create these leaders and making them stronger to deal with the challenges, the many different challenges they have in their communities, um, regarding this political resistance, lack of opportunities, lack of resources, and helping these young leaders with that, and even creating these young leaders, because we have so much potential here in Brazil, there in Philippines, in many countries, that we do not value it properly. And even the young people, the children that could be these amazing leaders that the planet needs, they don't realize their own potential. They don't believe sometimes in the change, and we need to make them believe on that, and also to give the support to them to lead these changes as well.
I absolutely agree with you, Marcos. And what I really loved was your bit about making sure that the opportunities are available for young leaders and young people who are yet to be leaders, who are starting their journey as leaders. And all of it is so very interconnected: the political, the personal, the social, the climate, the environmental. It all ties in together in how we can achieve a more equitable planet, a more equitable society, really. And I wanna thank you for your time. I wanted to thank you for your stories, and I do wish that our conversations could go on forever, as I always say in this show. But to everyone tuned in, our conversation today is coming to a close. But before that, Marcos, I really want to ask if you have any last words of advice for our audiences. I assume at least one or two people here, or maybe even all 10, all 11, who are currently tuned in, care about the planet and want to know how they can do better, how they can do more. I know I do. I know I want to be able to lead more. for the sake of our planet, for the sake of my people. So please, any last words of advice, of encouragement, tips on climate activism, we would really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you very much, first of all, Oni, for your amazing job that you do here with Global Fund for Children, with amazing leaders from different parts of the globe, so that we can be more connected and also inspired by their histories of change, of leading, and we can know a little bit more about different parts of the globe, and yes, get inspired as well by other actions in other issues as well that are more very different. We can learn a lot with that. So thank you, and thank you, Global Fund for Children, and thank you, Global Fund for Children, also for being very special friends and partners of us here in Brazil, of Onda Solidaria, of us personally as well. Um, Regarding advices, I would say uh, dream. If I didn't dream, if the founder of Onda Solidaria or the founders of Global Fund for Children hadn't dreamed, many amazing things wouldn't be done to many different lives. And even to my life. My life would be completely different if many people didn't dream. And if I hadn't dreamed as well, if I hadn't believed in my potential, in the the power of change, in a better future for my community, in a better future for my country and for the planet, many amazing things would be lost, wouldn't be created. So I would say that let's connect more. Let's share more about our challenges. Let's think more about our solutions and how we can contribute in different ways. Um, Maybe, I don't know, everyone that's watching it. Um, yes, we have, for example, Gabi that is teaching English here at On the Solidaria project for young people, and that is an amazing and very inspiring way of promoting opportunities and sharing the gifts that she could have. So, like volunteer, donate. Um, Share hopeful stories, share hopeness with people around you, and especially with people with less opportunities than you. Um, and yes, yeah, do good stuff to promote opportunities so that then we can have more, yeah, happy people that can dream as well and can drive the change and drive the change, especially regarding climate and regarding sustainability. Because we have, for example, the development, sustainable development agenda of the United Nations, and we are in 2024, and our deadline for this agenda is 2030, and we haven't done half of the things that we should be we should be doing since 2015 to deal properly with our challenges, but we still have time. But we still have time, but to act now. So yes, we have to figure out what's our role in all of that. And a role that's not alone, that needs to have each time more people involved. So using our network, using our connections to promote these solutions regarding climate, to teach or to share um, these perspectives with places, with people where it hasn't arrived yet. It's very important so that we can be all united in the same mission, but with different roles. So I would say that dream, believe, have hope in the role you have to play in the mission of building a better and more sustainable world.
That is such amazing advice, and the whole concept of dreaming for a better reality really, really touched my heart. And I'm sure it also hit home for so many others who are currently watching this live or who will be watching this live after it's over. Thank you once more, Marcos. Thank you so much to the audience as well for sticking with us for, I think we lasted, yeah, under an hour. Dream and try to take action now. Actually, no, do take action now. The future is waiting for us, and it's waiting for us to do better. All right. Thank you so much for your wisdom, Marcos, and thank you all for joining Global Fund for Children and Marcos for the fourth installment of Oni On Air. You guys have all been so great, and we will catch you on the next live episode. Feel free to come into contact with Marcos through his chat. He's here right now, so give him a follow. I'm Maria Veronica Papa as well on Instagram, and
And
tune in for
honestly,
our conversation. Oh, yes. Go ahead. Do you want to plug anything, Marcus?
sorry, Oni. It's just recommending everyone here also to follow on the Solidaria and see all the different that is being made in here in Brazil.
Absolutely. Maybe, Marcus, you can comment the page or any other pages you would want to share with our audiences. I'm sure we would all appreciate that. Right. You guys have been great. We will catch you on the next live episode. Tune in for the next announcement of that. So goodbye, good night, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. And see you in the next one. All right. Pleasure to hear Marcus' thoughts, according to Vera. Bye.
Thank you. See you.
See you.